I'm Beth, and I've been a street pastor for about 2.5 years now, although it's probably about 8 or 9 years since I first explored whether this was something that God wanted me to do. At that time we were living on the outskirts of Liverpool, and family circumstances meant that the time wasn't right. So I put it to the back of my mind and got on with life, although every so often the thought would return and come back and prod me. Roll forward a few years and we've moved to Northampton. Family circumstances have changed and the street pastor open evening was advertised. And here I am. So what has my street pastor journey been like? It's been a journey of differences and opportunities, and it's pushed me out of my comfort zone. No 2 nights are the same, and no 2 teams are the same. There have been nights that have seemed never ending, nights where you get back to base for a quick cuppa only to be called out again and never get the cuppa. Some nights the town is really quiet and you do very little other than pick up a few bottles. Other nights it's really busy and the time flies by. One thing that is the same is that there's always someone who wants to talk, whether it's asking who we are and are we really volunteers and why would you volunteer to be out on a cold, wet night in the middle of the town, or a deeper conversation with someone who just needs someone to talk to, who asks for prayer for either themselves or someone they know. It's an incredible privilege to do that and to be known as part of a group of people who do that. For me, though, that's also one of the downsides, as you rarely get to know the outcome, the answer to the prayer, and so at times it does feel like unfinished business. But I've learnt to trust that God is in control and I don't need to know the answer. The other downside is that some nights you can get cold and very, very wet. One of the nicest nights to be out is A-level results night, and I miss not being able to do that this year. The town is full of excited teenagers looking forward to the next stage of their lives. Some are not as happy as others, but the town is still full of hugs and high fives. One thing I didn't expect to learn as a street pastor was how to dance. And they don't teach you that in the training either. But you soon learn the steps to the street pastor dance as you quickly move your feet out of the way, as someone who's had such a good night out has the sudden and urgent need to empty the contents of their stomach all over the road. God really does equip you with everything you need to be a street pastor. My family will tell you that I don't do sick. However, out in the town in the middle of the night as a street pastor, I can deal with it. The teams are always different and it doesn't matter who I've been out with, we always work well together. I've never felt worried or unsafe. We look out for and after each other. We have good conversations too as we walk around or are having a cuppa. I managed to get out once between lockdowns. It was a very different evening. It was much earlier, and although the town was busy, it wasn't as busy as it can be in the early hours. What was noticeably different was the conversations that we were able to have. People seemed to have to and want to talk and share their concerns or worries about COVID and the impact that it's having on them and their families. There wasn't much call for flip-flops that night. I guess people hadn't been out long enough for their shoes to start to hurt. And it was good to be home long before the sun begins to rise too. I love the story of Esther and how she was in the right place at the right time, for such a time. God had placed her where he needed her to be to help his people, and she was willing to play her part. For me, being a street pastor is like being Esther. God has called me to be a street pastor for such a time. He knows who I will meet, who I will have a conversation with, who I will help, and I know he directs our path when we're out to enable us to do that. I've missed not being able to go out regularly this year and hope it won't long before normal service is able to resume. God has placed me and all the other street pastors where he needs us when we're out and gives us all that we need for that night. Whatever situation we find, God uses us in such a time as this.